What is going on, everybody? It is Sunday morning, so that means that it's time for the I-71 Playbook podcast. I'm Bebe, and with me, as always, is BC. How are we this morning, sir?
Good morning, BB. As you can hear, little stuffy, a little under the weather this morning. I'm gonna blame my brand new diet on this. So
Oh,
yeah, long story
we
short,
got
my buddy Seth, he's a personal trainer. He likes to do these challenges, and he's doing the carnivore diet this month, and somehow talked me into
okay.
it, and it is miserable. Like you would think, oh, all you have to do is eat meat, like meat and cheese, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Like little BC would like be doing well. He'd be throwing a fit right now because I'm going to say I miss vegetables. Yeah,
Wow.
I think normally, like I go. I'm a pretty low sugar. I don't drink a lot of sugar or eat a lot of sugar.
hmm
But I do like my fruits and vegetables, and I can't have any of that for a month. I'm doing this for 30 days.
Ooh,
And yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, I'm started Wednesday,
So you're
so
going to be crabby, is what I'm hearing. You're going to be
I'm I'm doing my
crabby.
I'm doing my best to stay my normal optimistic self. But yeah, it,
Yeah.
it it's a rough living right now. This really sucks. So anyway, like that's seriously like if you told me, hey, go eat 7 pieces of bacon and it's good for you, and I'm like, okay, and then you actually eat 7 pieces of bacon and that's it for like 4 hours, and you're like, so yeah, that on top of the congestion and just my stomach reinventing itself right now. It's been a weekend.
Yeah. Well,
Without
our
getting
thoughts
too
and
too
prayers
graphic.
go to the our thoughts and prayers go to the lovely Mrs. BC during this difficult transition time.
Oh,
So
dude, my
Godspeed.
tummy. So anyway, BB, what we got for today's pod?
Anyway, well, we got some good news, we got some bad news, and we're gonna, do talk about winners and losers and all sorts of stuff.
I like that.
Cleveland basketball team kicking off round two after embarrassing the Miami Heat. They're kicking off round two at home tonight at, I believe, 6 o'clock is tip off. Darius Garland is still questionable for game one. He missed the last 2 games of that Miami series with a sprained big toe. Now, I understand when your feet are essential and critical for your job, an injury of any caliber sucks. But as I am more of a hockey girl, as more of a football girl, a big toe, my brother in Christ, like, come
Okay,
on,
so we're
a
we're
big
about we're
toe.
about we're about to get into this. Okay, first of all, I just want to BB talk. This just come into my world here for a second. Okay, I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to think through the course of a day. Through the course of a day, okay, when you take your steps, okay, how many times do you put pressure on your big toe?
Probably more times than I realize. So if my
You
toe was injured, I'd be thinking about it. So no, I get
a,
it.
pin, a pinky toe you don't need. Even your
No.
middle toes could be a little sore. That big toe to every day. If you have a sprained big toe, you're going to feel it. You're going to be walking with a limp.
Right, and I get
But
that.
but as a professional athlete, and basketball in particular, where your job is based on explosion, because it is
Right.
basketball is an explosion
Right.
sport. You
Right.
you push forward, that toe's there. You go laterally, that toe's there. You jump, you land. Think about landing on that sprained toe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut Darius a
I
break
get
here, and
it.
I'm trying to talk some sense into your cold heart. And once again, has has somebody once again who not at a high level but participated in organized athletics throughout his life. Um, that sprained toe can. I mean, look at it this way. I mean, turf toe ended careers.
I know. See,
And,
here's the
and tur-
thing. You didn't listen to what I said. I'm like, I understand. Your feet are your job. So anything that is going to impact that is going to be painful. I get it. But again, it's a big toe. And it makes, now mind you, hold on. I do have a cold heart for a lot of things and a lot of people. Let's just call that how it is. But I get it. It just makes me giggle. That's all.
I do want to.
He's missing the game because of a big toe injury. For some reason, it makes me chuckle. I don't know why. I wish him a speedy recovery. I don't know if you can put like your big toe in traction, or like if there's like a halo for your big. I don't know what the protocol is here. Medical professionals can sound off in the comments. That's perfectly fine. It makes me chuckle because I'm 12 and big toes apparently are hilarious for me.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
You totally get it?
No, I totally get it. I'm having fun.
I see what you did there.
I totally get it. So no, has somebody once again, I just think about the starting, the stopping, the pivoting, the pushing off. You do that on the balls of your feet and your toes. And
yeah.
It has to be quite painful to attempt to at the highest level that we know. That's got to be rough. But I do want to take that and just kind of flip it upside down real quick, because I heard some of the dumbest takes in the history of basketball this week that had to do with Darius Garland's injury.
Okay.
So Darius Garland missed the last 2 games of the Miami series, and
he did.
We used the word in Game 3 disrespectful, what the Cavs did to him. And then at halftime of Game 4, they were up 44 points. They had a 60-point lead at one point and won the game by over 50.
Yep, that is true.
They did that with that, and they won those 2 games without Darius Garland. So
yes,
one of the problems I've always had with sports talk radio, and the reason, little back, 25 years ago, I listened to a lot of Jim Rome. And I always liked Jim Rome's show because, his motto was have a take and don't suck. And if you got on the air and your take was awful or not thought out or well executed, he cut you.
Right.
And, I will give, particularly, and I can't speak for all the markets, but in Cleveland, they tend to run bad takes and bad taste, whatever. But I heard some stuff this week listening to Cleveland sports radio
that takes the cake a little bit.
Oh man, so Darius Garland's hurt. Darius Garland's an all-star. Darius Garland was possibly maybe the best point guard in the Eastern Conference this year. I mean, you could make that argument. He had that fantastic year.
I can understand that argument.
Definitely regained his form, had a great year. And there are people, because the Cavs won in 2 blowouts, and this is not taking anything away from, I'm sorry, the Cleveland basketball team. This is not taking anything away from the Cleveland. I know, I goofed. It was my turn this week. Not taking anything away from the round ball team in Cleveland. Miami, after Game 2, they're like, we're going back to South Beach, and we're not going anywhere else. Like they got close in Game 2. The cat, Donovan literally daggered them. And
you're doing it again.
I stopped myself. Donovan literally daggered him, and in Game 3 it showed, and then Game 4, it was literally an NBA team playing a Division I high school JV team.
It was bad.
It was absolutely to a point, I almost felt bad. I didn't feel bad for the Heat. I felt bad for fans of Miami. And that's saying something after the crap they gave us over a decade ago when your boy LeBron left us for South Beach.
We're going to talk about him in a minute because he's made some news too this week.
How's that for a segue to you? But anyway, predictions for this series: Cleveland basketball team. I got them winning in 5, 4-1. Okay. I think Indiana is going to be challenge every game. I still think the Cleveland basketball team. Look, I have to think about it. The Cleveland
You do.
basketball team.
It takes time.
I have 47 years of programming in this head, but the Cleveland basketball team is. I think they're the most talented team in the East, and I even think they're more talented than the Celtics. At least depth wise, just they're going to run 9 guys out there. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be a tough out. And I just don't think Indiana has a shot in this series. I think the more fascinating series will be the Knicks and the Celtics, because although the Celtics should win that and they should win that going away, it's going to get physical. Celtics in the first round got beat up pretty bad. There's a I don't know if you saw that picture of Kristaps Porzingis bleeding. They got beat up pretty bad, despite winning that series. So once again, I like the gentleman's sweep here, 5 games and little rest before the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think you're on the right track with that. I do think Indiana is going to pose some surprise challenges, and that they shouldn't just sleep on this series. I do think they're going to push them with each game because they're going to fight for it. And that's not to say that the Cleveland basketball team won't fight for it either. But looking at stats wise, looking at the guys that they've got on court, on paper, I mean, I saw this morning the little game predictor of who's going to win. They've got the Cleveland basketball team winning by like 75%. But that's still giving Indiana that's 25% where a lot can happen. I like the 5-1 or the 4-1. I think that's reasonable. It's attainable. Be a good series to watch. So let's go.
And one last thing, if anybody is watching this outside of the Northeast Ohio area, I hope you understand what a home court advantage it is in Cleveland. If you ever go to a Cleveland basketball game at Rocket Arena, it is deafening. And it is, and we saw this in the LeBron years when they were going to the finals every year when they won. Like that is a daunting place to come in and win. It is, and if you look back through the history of the Cavs, really since LeBron came here, it is. God, sorry.
I'm gonna get a shock collar. I swear to God, we're gonna get a shock collar.
I actually have one upstairs. We don't use it, but Lily is she's crazy. So we use it it's got a noise thing too. So when she gets too close to the street, you hit it and she turns around and goes, "What?" And then she runs back up.
What I do?
But it does have a shock feature on it. So I don't know from Michigan to Ohio. Maybe it's got Bluetooth capabilities. We'll see. Anyway.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Anyway.
Tune in next week.
Long story short, it's going to be hard for any team to come into Cleveland. It just is. So
it is.
Cavs
you mentioned
Cleveland in 5. God, I just cost this game today. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If we go down, if that one game is today, BC is going to go sit in the corner and think about his life choices.
Yes. I'm gonna put it on my not feeling my 100% today. I'm just not on top of the game.
We'll go with that. But you brought him up. Either you love him or you hate him. And I think on this pod we are split when it comes to him. LeBron is out of the playoffs. The Lakers were absolutely embarrassed in round 1. And the other night, he is trying his hand at, let's say, other professions, because that was an Oscar-worthy performance. He takes a shot. Now, mind you, the guy they've got guarding him is what appears to be my height. So, like, 5'4", going up against LeBron, and bumps him. And it's not even like an aggressive, like what I would think is like a check into the boards in hockey. He literally brushed him like, "Oh, got to get past you here." And LeBron, you would have thought he got a TKO from Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, he flops back, and he's just like, the agony. I saw, again, to show my age here, Nancy Kerrigan getting crowbarred had better acting than LeBron in this playoff game. And the best part is he's actually looking around for the refs to make sure, are they seeing me? Are they seeing me? Oh, no, it hurts. Oh, I'm in pain. I'm going to die. Are they looking? Are they watching? Dude. Dude.
Like, I hate this analogy, but every time I see LeBron do one of these ridiculous flops, and he's been he's like, I'm in LA, I'm getting my acting chops on, and when he does one of these flops, the history conspiracy guy.
Oh, there goes the hat. There we go.
I think it's a Bruder film. Like he acts like he's Kennedy getting assassinated. Like and just flying back. It's so ridiculous.
It's so bad. And it's not the first time. Like, he's done this his entire career. Now it's just bad enough to the point where people are calling him out for it. Like, on Main Street, calling him out. And I'm here for it. I love it.
I understand.
Love all of that for him.
To an extent why he does this. Like, because we have for this guy's career, okay, which now spans 22 years. Good for you, LeBron. To me, you're the GOAT, and I will always defend that. But whatever, you can take your old 80s, 90s basketball. Never mind. Anyway,
they never had to flop to win, so there's that.
Because they were literally clotheslining guys. Like, there was no fouls called, and so, but watching LeBron, particularly on his return to Cleveland, he did not get a lot of calls, and so he had to make, for a time in his career, he had to make any kind of transgression against him stand out. And I get that. During the Warriors' heyday, if you looked at Steph Curry wrong, it was a foul.
Okay,
yeah. If you, same with like
Steph
James
Curry was the Patrick Mahomes of the NBA.
Or I can remember James Harden when he was at his MVP form. Same thing. Like he would have 18 free throws a night. Like, it was insane. Russell Westbrook. Yeah, these guys were getting, and even Kevin Durant, who's he's a 7-footer, he's a big guy, would get these calls, and because of LeBron's build, and LeBron can go to the hole, and he's super hard to guard, he didn't get calls. So now in his old age, like, he's like, I got to make this count, and and once again, we know why he went to LA. He's eyeing that entertainment career after retirement, and so he's just practicing.
Well, bud, I'm going to say this from one Northeast Ohio kid to another. Don't quit your day job. Oh, boy.
Oh, hey-oh.
But speaking of the other team that occupies the Rocket Arena, who are also in their own playoff hunt, we've got the Monsters. Little bit of trouble. They are in a best-of-5 series with the Laval Rockets up in Montreal. And unfortunately, they are heading back to Montreal with a 2-game deficit. Not fun to watch. The first game they kept in it. They lost 3-2. They were making a comeback and just could not get it done. Time ran out before they could get that comeback and get going to overtime. And then game 2, they got absolutely shut out. They're in trouble. So I want to remain optimistic. I think, can they go on a tear and take the next 3? It's possible. Anything's possible, but is it probable? Probably not. So, there's that.
Is it a 5-game?
Wish for the best.
Is it a 5-game or 7-game series this round?
It's this one, I believe, is a best of 5.
So we are at elimination for 3 straight games. Okay. Good luck, Monsters.
And you know what? They were in this situation too last year. They had their backs against the wall and they were able to battle back. And this year, and I've seen it with the squad a lot. And I'm not entirely sure how to eliminate it, but they play lazy hockey, which basically they're going to take whole shifts off, periods off, sometimes even games off, and you're going to have a bad day. I get it. Go ahead.
I saw that live. Like I literally,
Yeah.
There was a goal, and I felt bad because it was Jets, big night, and he got his bobblehead and stuff. There was a goal, the second goal. So the first goal against him was earned. It was good. It was good. The puck moved around, and it was a good shot. You beat the goal. Sometimes you just beat the goalie. This
you get burned sometimes, yeah.
The second goal, which was in the third period, it was a 1-0 game in the third period. The one winner for who they play, Texas, gets the puck. It gets the puck, and there's nobody within 30 feet of him. Like there are. I mean, with the goalie, there are 11 men, and this one quarter of the rink, and a guy sitting there with a puck with nobody within 20, 30 feet of him, and he was surprised. Like you could see on his body language, and hockey's a fast sport, but you could see
it is.
He's like, so he skates in about 10 more feet, and nobody goes
burns
to him.
One.
And then he's 10 feet out, and he just rips one right by Jet. And I'm like, that is the single worst. And I looked at the people, I was with, and I go, that's why this is minor league hockey, because that stuff's not going to fly in the NHL. Because it was embarrassing. Like they just sat there and watched this guy just run up through the net and score. So
that's been their downfall all season.
Yeah. And I could when you said that, I'm like, I literally witnessed that live. Like I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
They do this thing, and it's not just this team, it's actually the history of the Monsters. They do this thing called dump and chase hockey, which drives me also absolutely insane. They clear the puck out, they shoot it down to the other end, and that's when you decide to do a line change, which I get it, but you take too long to do the line change, and now you lose the advantage. So now you literally dump the puck off, and then we got to try and play chase to play catch up. So trying to remain optimistic. We've got the package. I promised my kid if they made it past the first round, because again, the end of the season they were doing the lazy hockey thing, and they basically fell into the playoffs, not for lack of trying to self-sabotage. So I told my kid if they make it past the first round, we'll get the TV package. Here we go. We get the TV package, and they get absolutely just slaughtered. Game is this afternoon. So game 3, do or die.
Go Monsters. Go Monsters.
Let's go. So last week, I have a question. We were a little hard on the Guardians last week.
Were we hard or were we honest?
A little bit of both. A little bit of tough love. But I think I personally pissed off one of the Cleveland Guardians players.
Please, do explain.
Personally. I think David Schneeman maybe caught a little bit of our pod and was like, I'm gonna show this Bebe chick wrong that she's, talking out of her the side of her face and doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm gonna show her.
David, like and subscribe, buddy. Thank you. You're welcome on the pod. Okay.
Because yesterday he basically single-handedly beat the Toronto Blue Jays. Steps up in the 8th, nails a solo homer. All right. At that point, it's now 3-1. Got a little time to do some magic. Well, that magic happened in the 9th inning. And he hits a grand slam, go-ahead runs, and the Guardians take it 5-3. So, David, bud, you're welcome.
It's funny. It's funny because every time the Guardians have they had just lost 2 terrible games. I mean, they lost 2 games bad before our pod last week. We kind of go in on them, and they come out this week. They come out this week and they go. What did they go? 4-1, I think so.
They 4 out of their last 6 actually. So they only dropped 2.
So I mean, so they right the ship. They right the ship. So it just seems like we happen to be. I don't know. Maybe the front office is watching us. Who knows? If you guys are, like and subscribe, welcome to the pod. And but yeah, it seems like when we talk crap about the Guardians, they respond.
So I don't
Unlike the
understand it
Cleveland
though.
basketball team, when we
Right. We
praise them,
praise them. And they absolutely shit the bed when we praise them. Apparently, we give tough love to the Guardians, and they take the hint. And so I don't know. It seems like we've both been in an abusive relationship with Cleveland sports for multiple
long time,
years.
long time.
Apparently, this is just So now it's just got to be toxic and gaslighting. Apparently, and if it works, you know what? Let's go. Let's go.
So, Bebe, you want to tell the fine folks out there about the assignment I gave you a couple days ago that you seemed very excited about?
You told me we're going to talk about the winners and the losers of the draft, and I was told to have fun. Oh no.
I can't wait to see where this goes. I think I got some doozies as well. So let's do this. So, Bebe, you've ever done fantasy football?
I actually have not.
Okay. So in fantasy
I don't
football,
have the time or the patience to do it.
So in fantasy football, we do what's called a snake draft. Okay. So you get the first pick. Okay. So say there's 8 people. You get pick number 1.
Okay.
You pick. You go through. Number 8 gets the first pick of the next round. So then it reverses. And so you get the last pick of the first round and then flip. So then you get the first pick of the third round, vice versa. So I want to do a snake draft like order here. Okay. We will start with you. Okay. You're going to give us a winner of the draft. Then I'll go winner, loser. You go loser, and we'll just kind of keep going. Now, once again, this will devolve down into podcast anarchy at some point because I know us. But we're going to try to have a little order to this. And there's a reason why, because I need some back-to-back ones here. So, Bebe, your first winner of the NFL draft. By the way, I want everybody to notice too. I want everybody to notice before we go here. I did not say the Cleveland Browns. I said the NFL draft. Okay, go.
The NFL draft. So I'm going to say overall, the fans were a winner. Yeah, that's my first pick. It was relatively entertaining. A lot of good kids got taken in the first round. And then became the interesting thing of where are these top drafts that were projected to go, top 15, top 25. And now it's day 2, possibly day 3, and these guys are still on the board. So I think it proved a little bit entertaining, just to kind of see where it was going to go. It was definitely a ride. Definitely a ride for. So I think that the fans are going to be the ultimate winner out of all of that.
That kind of goes along with one I had before I get to mine. I had the city of Green Bay. Fantastic host to this. Even on day 3, that place was packed. So good for them. And I say that with a little bit of jealousy because our draft experience was stolen from us because of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID.
As I talked about the infamous draft party I have every year. Well, we had plans, all of us. We're going to get some rooms up in Cleveland. We were going to go up and, take a couple of days off work, spend a weekend up there, have a good time. And that got derailed. That got derailed big time because of the once in a century pandemic that hit us. But my first winner, Shedeur Sanders. Now, we've heard all week that Shedeur was a loser, but let me tell you why Shedeur is a winner. Okay. First of all, it is beyond me. Okay. It is beyond me how you cannot like this kid. I'm not sure what NFL teams saw, and there are theories about what happened. He immediately hops on a plane to Cleveland. Now, his own production team films him working out. He's doing hill work. Comes to Cleveland, immediately gets off the plane and starts working out. Okay. I get it. You want to get some clout. You want to get some clicks. That's cool. Then he leaves there and goes to a school, a Cleveland public school. He did not bring his crew in there. We will see footage of it, but it was not him that filmed it. Okay. And I guess And I guess this is something he has done when he was in Florida and then in Colorado. He just shows up to schools, talks to kids, because he is a celebrity. No matter what you think about Shador Sanders, he is a major celebrity. And we know that because another reason Shador's number one or a winner is Bebe, who has the number one selling jersey in the NFL right now.
Apparently, Shador.
Shador Sanders overtook Cam Ward and Travis Hunter, has the number one selling. And if you go on to the Browns website or Fanatics, you can pre-order his jersey, and in pre-orders, he has the highest selling jersey right now currently in the NFL, a fifth round
Wow.
pick. So Shador Sanders, it might have been a rough ride, and that gets into my loser, Shador Sanders. So,
Both? Both is good? Both?
He was number one on both my lists. We talked at length about what happened, and some more has revealed itself. But there was a story that Albert Breer of SI had heard that, and I kind of want to relay it if you haven't seen him on the numerous podcasts. And it was with the Giants, and we found out draft night. The Giants had him number one ranked on their board. They were going to take him, and they had a bad meeting. And Shador, granted, kind of read into his own press. His dad read into his own press. They did not have an agent. They did not prep for this. And one of the things that happens is and once again, Albert Breer and his reporting was fantastic on this. One of the things that happened is if you weren't going to take him as a starter, nobody wanted this kid to be their backup because it brings deal and it brings question of decisions, and it brings so he already had a limited amount of teams that were looking for a quarterback. Maybe 10 teams were looking for a quarterback, even a backup quarterback. We're in that market. And then once he slid, because the NFL kind of told us they didn't think his talent was worthy of a first round pick. And the Browns did as well. Once he slid, to that third round, once he did not get drafted on night 2, it was like, okay, so if you bring him in, you're bringing the social media, the celebrity. I can't tell you how many comments on YouTube videos this week that I watched that people said, "Oh, I'm just here for Shador. I'll root for Cleveland as long as Shador's there." Like, it's crazy the cult following the Sanders have. And that's cool. They've earned it. The kid's won wherever he's went. But NFL teams didn't want to bring that in. And we know this all too well in Cleveland, because who's the most popular quarterback? It's the backup. And then when it's a backup with the media machine that the Sanders family brings, I don't think Deion's going to be a problem at this point. He knows he knows the NFL. He knows what will fly. But Shador did not handle the Giants interview. Supposedly they showed him one of his picks, and it was early in the game. And he said, "Hey, look, early in the game, I'm just trying to get a rhythm." And blah blah blah. And the Giants, he did not like that answer, and Shador looked back and said, "I don't think we're a good fit." And I'm just like,
and that's fair.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude, it is a job interview. Like,
it is.
As somebody who just went through job interviews, I can imagine, especially if I wanted a job, and go, hey, I don't think we're a good fit. But anyway, that got him in trouble, and I imagine, once they saw that he wasn't going to be a starter, he just fell. But once again, going back to Shador before we get to your first loser of the draft, getting back to Shador, dude, well done. Getting to Cleveland, getting to work, helping out the youth, helping out the community. Love it for you. Love it for Cleveland. And once again, I hope this kid balls the F out. I really do. I want him to be the future quarterback of the Browns, and I hope he proves everybody wrong.
See, and a lot of people have come out, and a lot of things that have come out since, and leading up to the drafting of Shador. And Brian Daboll, the head coach for the Giants, kind of came out. His name's been thrown into the mix of this. And some people have kind of taken some interesting theories online and kind of run with them a little bit. That he's got a put up or shut up year, and all eyes are going to be on him as well. So there is a theory that's going around, and who knows that, take this with, the tiniest grain of salt possible, that,
I have the conspiracy cap on.
you do have the conspiracy cap on. My Wild Thing glasses are in the other room, so that's all right. But I've got the t-shirt on, so we'll make it work. But with him being in a put up or shut up kind of year, I think it was a 3-12 record that they had last year, the Giants.
They would have been. They've been 3-14, like 3-14, like the Browns.
3-14. All right. Yeah. Okay. So he's there. All eyes are going to be on him, so he cannot mess this up. And then, okay, so now if you take Sanders, does Deion come in and possibly poach you as a head coaching job? Well, if you have any sense of knowledge or you can read, the University of Colorado just extended Deion's coaching career, and they kind of locked him up for quite a few years. So he's not jumping.
5 years, $60 million. 5 years, $12 million a year. Something ridiculous. Yeah.
He ain't going nowhere. Like, him and Miss Peggy are going to have Sunday dinner, and it's going to be a beautiful thing for the next 5 years. So, I mean, I can see where it would come from, but at the same time, he's not jumping to coach in the NFL, truthfully, because I don't think that's an ego clash that is going to set anyone up for success. I don't, truthfully, because it's the same thing that happened with Urban Meyer, and I love Urban. Urban was a great college coach because in college programs, you are judge, jury, executioner, the sheriff. You are the law. Like, what you say goes. And in the NFL, and we've talked about this multiple times, that's not the case. In the NFL, the coach is merely, you're a figurehead. The decisions will come down from the GM, from the owner. Then you've got to deal with agents. Now you have to deal with agents in college as well because of all the NIL. But I don't think Deion would fare well as an NFL coach. Truthfully, I don't. That's not for lack of talent. That's not for lack of trying. It's going to be just a constant ego clash head to head. So that's not even on the table. But I can see how that could make some teams a little nervous, that all of this pressure, because he does have that media machine. And I think that I agree with him that he's kind of setting himself up, Shedeur himself up for failure, because he's got his own videographer team that follows him everywhere. But I am glad to hear that he did not take that because I did hear about the school appearance. I am glad to hear that he did not take his own PR team and just did it to actually reach out to children.
Yeah.
So
there was
good on you for that, bud.
There was a bad take, and he's had a couple bad takes in his career. Aaron Goldhammer on the Really Big Show this week was just going in on, why do you have to have cameras there? Why did he, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you just do it? And the truth of the matter is that the guy who filmed it, who released it, said, I'm not with his team. This guy just showed up. He reached out to the school, said, hey, can I come? The school was glad to have him. It was not for it. And Goldhammer, once again going in, what do you, dude, that's not what happened. So, before you start jumping down, because once again, the assumption would be, yeah, he filmed this. It's a PR thing. That's not, like, he has a history. If you know anything about Shedeur, he has a history throughout his college career of doing this, just showing up and trying to help youth out. And, good for him, because he's still a young man. The problem is,
he's what, 22, 24 years old? Like, he's young.
He's 21, I think. I think he's still 21.
21? Okay. Yeah. I mean, and we all did stupid shit when we were 21. But also, in this day and age, everyone's got, this is a phone case, but everyone's got a cell phone, attached to their hand, and it's anything that happens. And you've got videos and eyes.
And that's the thing. Like, another thing that's kind of baffling about this whole Shedeur thing, and we're going to move on because we've talked about Shedeur a lot, but we're going to have plenty to talk about him. His rookie minicamp starts up next week, and we're going to see him in action and stuff. But one thing that's really crazy about all of this, he has never been in trouble. You've never heard a bad thing said about him. Anybody's ever interacted with him said what a polite, gracious, humble, I heard that word, humble young man he is. that his dad raised him right, blah blah blah, and the fact that this has happened and we get these rumors about these bad interviews and stuff. It just seems out of character for the person that we have learned that this kid is. So once again, I could be wrong, but I'm just hoping he goes out and he just tears it up on the field. I really do.
So one last thing about Shador, and I know we talked about this last week, the infamous video of them announcing Sanders getting drafted by Cleveland. Andrew Berry had resting bitch face. Stefanski kind of saved a little bit. But we talked about it. I mean, we called it out last week.
Yeah.
However, there is something that I do want to talk about and I want to bring up. The video has surfaced of the actual phone call between Andrew Berry and Shador Sanders just before they were announced. And I kind of want to read his quote and then Shador's response. So he says, and we got to put the glasses back on because I'm old and I can't read. He says, listen, you got to come in and work hard. Earn your keep. Doesn't matter where you're taken. It matters what you do going forward. You're a talented kid. We spent a lot of time with you. Let's get ready to work and praise and prove all of the people who passed you over wrong. He's not wrong when he says that. He's like, look, it's going to be hard. You're not going to get any kind of special treatment. Come in, bust ass. Let's go. Now, Shador's response to this, yes, sir, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Same thing.
So,
if you go further on in that, you see Kevin Stefanski talk to him, and he said, Shador, God works in mysterious ways. You were meant to be here. Let's get to work. And once again, yes, sir. And it's just like, that does not sound like a cocky, arrogant kid.
He is cocky and arrogant. Now, hold on.
But every D1 player is. Like, every D1 player with talent is.
To a certain extent.
I'm just saying, it doesn't sound like this monster they made him out to be in the pre-draft process. Like, there's such a huge disconnect here. And, and one other thing, the narrative this week, God, we keep talking about him, but the whole narrative about this being a Jimmy Haslam pick, that's another thing that, so Tom Pelissero, he was the first guy, if you remember, he reported right before the draft that Shador's going to fall. Like, he's just hearing that Shador's going to fall.
Right.
He also came out and said this was 100% Andrew Berry pick. He said this was not Jimmy Haslam putting the thumb down. This was Andrew Berry. They said he started making calls in the 4th round to see if they can move up and get him. And they wanted to get ahead of Philly. And Andrew Berry once again, him and Howie Roseman have a very famous relationship. They're really close. And it seemed like they had some intel that Philadelphia was going to take Shador. And so they moved up ahead of Philly and got him. And once again, Tom Pelissero said, I don't think this was a Jimmy Haslam thing as it was an Andrew Berry thing, doing his job, getting the best rated player on his board at the end of their draft night. And so I just, regardless, when it comes down to it, X's and O's wise, he's a 5th round pick. He's either going to be the luckiest lotto ticket we've ever had as Browns fans, and God, we earned some luck. We deserve some luck.
We need some luck.
Or he gets cut. I mean, it's that simple. He makes it, or he doesn't make it.
There's already a Canadian team that's reached out that says, "Hey, if you get cut, we got a job for you."
They have the rights to him if he goes to the CFL. Like, I don't know how that works. I'm not familiar.
I have no idea how that works either, but
they do have the rights to him. So let's move on. So your first loser of the draft.
The New York Giants as a whole.
Oh, okay.
They were another one where, the spotlight was on them. Now, don't get me wrong. They got a haul of players. They got a whole bunch of picks.
They got a couple. They get Abdul Carter. They get their hopefully their quarterback of the future, Jackson Dart. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good first round.
I would say, it's a pretty good first round. And then the rest of their picks just kind of don't make much sense. They've got a lot to prove. And I've got about as much question with their quarterback room as I have with ours. Um,
It's
Mainly
weird.
because
It's weird.
yeah, like just where is the thought pattern here? I'm just kind of curious because you bring in Russell Wilson. I'm like, okay, so there's your veteran, right on. Then you bring in Jameis. Okay, so he's going to be a backup, and then you draft Jackson Dart. Now, I think Jackson Dart is going to do very well in the NFL. I think he's going to have a decent career once he cooks a little bit. Like again, it's very, very rare that you get a rookie QB that comes in and is able to just be lights out and make that leap from college to pro. It happens. It's not the norm.
CJ
So I think that
Stroud
these kids,
and Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix all, did it.
right?
Which is, like you
But
said, which is rare though. It's rare.
right. So for every CJ Stroud and for every Bo Nix and for every Jaden Daniels, you have Zach Wilson. You have, however, I can pull out the Cleveland QB jersey of shame and just tell you how many rookie QBs we set up for failure over the years. So it's not the norm. It's definitely the exception to the rule. But I do think Jackson Dart will surprise a lot of people. I think he will. But
All right.
just
I got a visitor to the pod here.
Oh,
He's been walking around me.
Jose!
Hey,
Jose,
Jose.
what's up, buddy?
Say hi to everybody, buddy.
He's like, put me down.
No, actually,
No paparazzi.
he's purring. He's digging this.
We got a motor? All
Yeah,
right.
we got a motor.
All right. Well, he
Right,
can hang
buddy.
out. That's fine. But yeah, so their quarterback room was just a little confusing for me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the season kicks off for them. But let's go.
So your next winner. Who's your next winner?
My next winner is the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I
have them on. I have that. That's on my list too. So let's talk.
They went in there with a clear plan and they knew what they needed, and they came away with a talent and a gaggle of young players that I think will hopefully work out. And as the Cleveland basketball team has showed us, definitely having a young team that these guys can gel together and really, really get some time to kind of connect and play just as a unit can be beneficial. So I think that, with getting so many of the younger players, it could lead to a lot of victory in our future, and God knows we need it. So I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure how our QB room is going to shake out. But there is something that I do have with the Browns that just kind of made me giggle when I was doing show prep. So there were two graphics, and one was our linebacker depth chart, and then our defensive line. And we've got Miles, and then we've got Malik Collins.
Oh, I forgot he still plays with us.
Yeah, he does. And then I'm going to butcher his last name, and I'm going to apologize on the internet. But
let me guess before you say it. Obo Okoronkwo.
Boom! Thank you. Bless you, my guy. So you've got those three, and then in the line next to him, you've got Mason Graham. Okay. So then we've got our linebacker depth chart. We've got JOK, Jordan Hicks.
Hopefully we get JOK back.
Bingo. Fingers crossed for that. And then Carson Schlesinger. One of these things is not like the other. Like, it just made me giggle to see the list of players that we've got and then the rookies that we've got coming in. And I'm like, ooh. Like, it's kind of giving, Animal House when they go to the Roadhouse, do you mind if we dance with your dates? Like, it just kind of made me laugh. I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be great additions to both ends of the ball. And I think they're gonna do really, really well. But just seeing that graphic made me giggle. And it doesn't help that Mason Graham has like a baby face to end all baby faces. Like, he looks young.
So does Schlesinger. Like, if you look him too,
They
like
both do.
yeah. So I had the Browns down as a definite winner of the draft. And if you look at their draft picks, and it is we once again, and we talked about this last week, and we said there are certain things we wanted with the draft. First of all, we wanted good character young men. Check.
Yep.
I don't care what you say about Shador. I've seen nothing to tell me that it's not a good character, high character kid. And every other one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Mason Graham last week, going back and sitting with Will Campbell. After he got drafted, he could have been out celebrating. He went back to his college teammate, who did not get drafted till the second round, but he sat with him in the green room, which was really cool. So and then we wanted football players, and I think I kind of did a rudimentary list, but Mason Graham was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. He is a game wrecker. If you're an Ohio State fan, you know Mason Graham for all the wrong reasons. The last 3 years, that kid has just wrecked Ohio State. Okay, then Schlesinger, and we're going to get into one of my losers here in a second. It's not Carson Schlesinger. It's actually quite the opposite. This is a walk-on. This is a kid that was not recruited. He was a special teamer, and then last year in his full, he didn't even start last year. He was an All-American. He had the most solo tackles in the country. He was once again an All-American. Mm-hmm. We got him at 33. Quinshawn Judkins, and we have our scarlet and gray covered eyes, and I think a lot of people wanted Travion Henderson at this point because we've known Travion. I don't think people realize how good that Quinshawn was last year, and this is nothing. Like, I'm a huge Travion Henderson fan, and I'm excited for him to go play for Mike Vrabel. But if you watch some of the film breakdowns, if you guys go and watch Quincy Carrier or the Browns film breakdown channels, you're going to get excited for Quinshawn. He runs angry. He ran a faster 40 than Travion. He's explosive. He has great vision. He can catch and he can block. And I'm telling you, as a guy who loves running backs, and once again, we know my whole Nick Chubb thing, and my love for Nick Chubb reignited with his workout video this week.
That was wild. Woo.
But yeah, he's power cleaning 405. Like, he's power cleaning 405. Like, it's inhuman how strong he is and how explosive he is. But anyway,
he's still unsigned.
Yeah. Yes. Still hoping that 1% chance. Still hoping. Then probably my favorite draft pick in a draft I loved, Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green.
Yes.
Okay, I want to put this out there. So he led the nation in receptions. He's a tight end. He was the MAC Player of the Year. He's a tight end. How does a tight end become the Player of the Year? Well, if you watch his film, particularly against A&M and Penn State, two top 20 teams. Penn State was in the semifinals. He dominated both those games. And BG had a shot to win both those games because of him. And the worst thing is every team game planned for him, and they couldn't stop him.
And he's a local kid.
Oh, yeah, he's a McKinley Bulldog.
When they announced that pick, I was elated. And I agree with you about Judkins. I know a lot of people in the media were like, why didn't we take Travion? He was on the board. Here's the thing, though. It's a blessing and a curse when it comes to Ohio State that you do have such a plethora of great and talented kids that play. Now, Travion will get you down the field, and then Quinshawn is the one that's going to take it that much further and score you the runs. He runs a lot. I've noticed this too. He runs similar to Chubb, where it's literally he puts his head down and he will just barrel through. I mean, and they both have some pretty strong thighs that just take off. So I am excited about Quinshawn joining the Browns.
The Cleveland fans, once again, his NFL comp is literally Kareem Hunt. And we know how Kareem Hunt runs angry. And he looks for contact. He hits guys. He bounces. He can find. He's also got explosivity. It's younger Kareem, not so much now, but when Kareem was younger, he was a home run hitter. Looks for contact, scares the crap out of defense. Like that's Quinshaw.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back,
pissed off. That's all. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and if you want to go back even further, think like when we were kids, Kevin Mack. He runs like Kevin Mack, and you know, like I mean, this is just—he's an angry runner. He does everything.
But he's a good kid.
Everything.
Like
yeah, and if
all
you've
that
seen
anger
interviews
is literally.
By the way, have you seen any interviews with him this week?
Mm-hmm.
How can you not love Quinshawn Judkins? Like I've never heard him speak before this week, and I'm like, that's a dude.
It doesn't match really. Like
no,
he's not.
Doesn't.
Like you see him, and he also again, and I also suffer from this too. Is the resting bitch face? So I get it. I understand. I sympathize. But then when you hear him speak, he's almost like to a point, like soft spoken a little bit.
He's this well-spoken, soft-spoken young man, polite and everything.
What in the world?
And then you see him on the field, and he's a killer.
Right, like he puts the pads on, and it's just like, all right, it's time to go to work. Like
that was not.
I don't know where that.
And super personable. Like he's a funny kid. Like
he is a very funny kid.
I enjoyed all the interviews with these kids because once again, just reiterated, we're getting what we asked for. We're getting good young men on this team. You got Harold Fan Jr., MAC Player of the Year, Dylan Gabriel, which it's the surprise pick. I don't think Shador's a surprise. I think Dylan Gabriel was a surprise pick here in the third round.
That was the one where I was like,
you got
what are you doing?
So the Big Ten is the best conference in college football now. Without doubt, last two national champions coming there. We've already had our talks about SEC, ESPN,
right?
But we got the defensive player of the year last year, Mason Graham. Guess what? They got the offensive player of the year, Dylan Gabriel, and he has played the most games in college football. He is 24. He's got an underrated arm. He is short. But I'm telling you, in Stefanski's offense, it really doesn't matter. He can be productive in this offense. Then Dylan Sampson, okay, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Okay, this kid scored 20 touchdowns last year for Tennessee in the SEC.
And he was our most worrisome trait going into the first playoff game. Was him. We talked about it on here and go back to it. Yeah,
we talked about him on this pod. And then finally, Shedeur, who was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. So just, once again, they are getting productive guys of good character. It's what we wanted. And I'm going to tell you, the other day I was just thinking about this. I'm listening to radio, and I got out of the car, and I'm like, I actually feel optimistic about the Browns. And I haven't felt this optimistic since 2018 when they drafted Nick Chubb and they drafted Baker and they had Miles and Njoku coming back. And you're looking at it like there's a real core here. I had not felt this optimistic since that team. And this year, this might not be the year, but I really feel if they can get this quarterback thing going, if one of these kids is a quarterback, or Joe Flacco, who's our age, or they have to get him next year. They're that guy away, and I think
we're going to definitely see improvement this year. I don't think
they can't. They can't be any worse.
We're not delusional enough to go, oh my God, we're going to the Super Bowl. No. There's definitely going to be some ticks in the L column, but there's definitely we're going to see signs of improvement, and that's important.
Once again, I just remind everybody last year. The 45th ranked quarterback in the NFL last year was Deshaun Watson out of 46. The 46th ranked quarterback last year was Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So we had of the 46 quarterbacks that started an NFL game last year, we had the worst two. And so we have said it so many times, if we could just get even below average quarterback play, we're going to be in games. The roster is talented enough. We just you can't overcome historically bad quarterback play, and that's what happened last year. So, Bebe, we talked about the Browns. My next winner, it makes me laugh. My next winner is Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Myles Garrett. We have words for Myles Garrett, and we still have feels for Myles Garrett.
Several.
Yeah, we went in.
Words for Myles.
We went in hard on Myles there for a while, and I'm still not happy with Myles. But Myles got paid. Myles got paid,
he did.
And for about a week,
Which is what he wanted.
But it's not about the money. But Myles got paid, and then I want people to realize what the 5th pick in the NFL draft just did. Okay, you're going to have a defensive line. We talked about our love for Isaiah McGuire on here and how he ended the season last year. Said he's going to be a running mate for. You got Alex Wright coming back, so your defensive ends, you're pretty solid, and you got the future Hall of Famer, the best guy in the game. Mm-hmm. But on the interior, where provides the most help for an outside pass rusher, the Browns are going to be lining up Mike Hall, who we saw last year. Man, he's going to be good. And then arguably maybe one of the best players in the draft this year, Mason Graham. And it's going to be really hard to double team Myles this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be impossible to triple team him with those guys, with that front four. And I wholeheartedly expect that Myles is going to be a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year again. I wholeheartedly expect that he is going to maybe have the best year of his career and cement his status maybe the best pass rusher ever because of Mason Graham. So Myles Garrett, big winner this weekend. That Mason Graham pick just makes so much difference on the interior of that defensive line. They're going to be scary, and they are following that Philadelphia model. They are loading up on the interior the interior defense, and good stuff all around. Good stuff all around. Myles, congratulations. My next loser would be the Atlanta Falcons and their bank account. So as everybody's heard the story, there was Shedeur was a victim, and we're finding out that numerous first round picks, Mason Graham included, also received prank calls that they were getting drafted when they weren't. And we found out that this was from the defensive coordinator of Atlanta's son, because Atlanta was very lax with their contact information. The Falcons, I saw, got fined, $250,000, $250,000. And then the defensive coordinator, I can't remember his name. The father of the son got fined $100,000.
Jeff Ulbrich.
Thank you. Yes. So Atlanta may have had a decent draft. They got the 2 pass rushers of their future, but they had a bad weekend because of some turd kid who's, we talk about Shedeur being entitled and all that stuff and all those words they're using about that kid. That's right. The entitled kid.
That actually, I was going to say that is his son is the epitome of everything that they want Shedeur to be.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, yes, he came out and said, it was a mistake and it was cruel and this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, you're still just an asshole 21-year-old kid with access to daddy's iPad.
Yeah, absolutely. No. I have a couple more. I got one more winner, one more loser. What do you got?
That was actually my list.
Okay, so
I actually have the winners and losers of the AFC North, though. So we got that.
Okay. Yeah, let me finish this real quick and get your comments on it. Then we'll finish your list and finish the pod today.
All right.
This one hurt me typing.
Oh.
It's on here.
Oh.
Winner, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I take it they were on your AFC North winners list. And my reason,
yes,
first of all,
but also no.
The Derek Harmon story. In case you guys don't know, Derek Harmon, a defensive tackle from Oregon, got picked number 21 by Pittsburgh. We find out that his mother is on life support. The kid gets picked. He immediately and the Steelers organization did everything right with this. And we hate Pittsburgh, but a human story like this, you just have to tip your cap to him. went and saw his mom. I'm getting kind of choked up because I've been here with my dad,
Yeah,
and got to tell her, Mom, I got drafted by
I
the
made
Pittsburgh
it.
Steelers. And
We
she
did
passed
it.
away just hours later. And, once again, I tip a cap to the Steelers for that. And, good on them, the way they're handling this. And
Yeah.
I hope that kid, and once again, I hate that it's with Pittsburgh, but I hope that kid has a great career. It just seems like such a fantastic kid.
And
And then,
they've had a rough couple of years, truthfully,
yeah,
on the human interest side of things. I mean, was it 2 years ago is when we lost Dwayne Haskins
yeah.
right before the season started, and now, unfortunately, this young man had one of the best nights of his entire life, completely shattered by one of the worst nights of his life. And you're right, the Steelers did absolutely everything that they were supposed to do as an organization, including getting this man the resources that he needs to work through losing his mother. So absolutely, there's no love lost between the Steelers on the field and the Browns, and that goes back decades. But as just a person in general, that's amazing what they've done, and you can't help but like give them a round of applause for that. I'm
And,
right with you.
and in the football world, once again, our prediction came true because I said it was just too perfect of a match. Will Howard and Jack Sawyer going to the Steelers. I mean, just come on. Guys we love, guys we want. I mean, now we got to root against them. It just, man, it sucks. And by the way, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up to Pittsburgh camp, Will Howard has a legit shot to be the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh as a 6th-round pick.
He
Like,
does, and that scares me though, and let me tell you why. Because if you look at the Steelers QB room right now, your vet leader to show the ropes and to learn from and to mold yourself after is Mason Rudolph. That'd be just as bad as if we didn't have Flacco to come in and mentor these kids that we've got coming in, and your veteran mentor is Kenny Pickett. Like, it's on that level.
what? By the way, one of the most ridiculous takes I heard this week was like, who has the worst QB room in the NFL? And there was a rating. I don't know who did it. One of the public, ESPN, NFL Network, literally had the Browns QB room worse than the Steelers.
Maybe last year, yeah, I can get that, but not
You
this year,
have,
no.
I mean, worst case, Joe Flacco, Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, took the Browns to the playoffs. How is that worse than Mason Rudolph? By the way, how is Kenny
Like, Mason
Pickett worse
Rudolph
than
was right
Mason?
up there with him. What's that?
I mean, how is Kenny Pickett worse than Mason Rudolph? Like, it just the whole thing's ridiculous.
Ooh,
I just think
it's close,
I think the
but
media loves to hate Cleveland. I'm that's not a conspiracy. I just think the media loves the bomb on the Browns.
they do.
Last
They absolutely
my,
do.
my last loser, and we'll let you finish up with the rest of the AFC North. 5-star recruits. So this is crazy stat. First time in the common draft era since they've been doing star rankings of high school football players. The first pick of the first round and the first pick of the second round, won by the Browns, Carson Schweissinger, were 0-star recruits coming out of high school. Cam Ward was a 0-star recruit. Carson Schweissinger is a 0-star recruit. And if I believe correctly, Harold Fannin Jr., also a 0-star recruit coming out of McKinley. Good for these guys. And once again, just hard work. Some of these guys develop late, but in the case of Cam Ward and Carson Schweissinger, Cam Ward went through 3 schools to get to where he was. Elevated each school, good for on him. And then Carson Schweissinger, like I said, we talked about his story from he was a walk-on at UCLA, earned time as a special teamer, and then end up last year being the best linebacker. So once again, statistically, All-American, the whole deal. So good on those guys. Good on that. just once again, just because you aren't the number one recruit coming out of college, and that's why recruiting rankings, when you see them at the end of every
They
year,
don't really mean a whole hell of a lot.
Georgia had the best recruiting class. Yeah, they got a lot of good kids. They're going to be good, but that does not necessarily translate into a national championship.
No,
and
it doesn't.
Or
Clearly,
future success. Yeah, absolutely. So, Bebe, you want to finish up with the AFC North?
Sure. So yes, I did have Pittsburgh as being in the winning column, but they are also in a losing column as well because of what we just mentioned with your QB room. They're adding some great things that they needed, clearly, at a young quarterback. So I gave him a B minus. But your veteran QB being Mason Rudolph that's a choice. Baltimore, and again, this one kind of sucks to stay out loud. B minus for them as well. Do find it kind of funny though that they are in the market for a kicker. So we are at the end of an era. As Justin effing, it happened! No! Oh no!
Episode 23, it finally happened.
Oh no!
I should have had like the luck alarm and Planet Fitness going off. We had the siren. It happened.
It happened. Oh no! Because I'm so used to just saying his name that way. But first of all, hold on, time out. It took me 23 episodes to accidentally drop an F-bomb.
By the way, that's probably better than what I was going to say. So I was going to say former Ravens kicking Justin Toucher.
Oh!
So the F-bomb might have been a little better than what I was going with. So,
but then they're possibly trading bad press for bad press, because you go from Justin Tucker and his issues to the kid that they drafted, and a lot of people had him on draft boards really high. That we've seen Mike Green out of Marshall as an edge. I know he was linked to Detroit for a while. They were kind of in love with him. And then some things about his past kind of came out, and that doesn't look entirely favorable as being a rookie going into the draft. But we'll see. I mean,
yeah, behind that, Bill Carter, a lot of teams had him as the number 2 edge. He had a great game against Ohio State last year. He single-handedly kept Marshall in the game in the first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, some really horrifying allegations are in his past, and
yeah.
You hope they're not true. But Baltimore, by the way, has no problem taking on players with checkered past. Ray Lewis. Sorry.
Ray Lewis. Yeah, that part. So, and finally, the loser, I would say, of the NFC North, or the AFC North, excuse me, is going to be Cincy. They went into the draft needing an edge, a linebacker, a safety, and a guard. Now, mind you, they got 2 edges. They need defense.
Yeah.
Bad. So they picked up an edge, 2 linebackers, and 2 guards, but said, what the hell? Let's add another running back after they've just re-signed both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Let's throw another rookie in there just for giggles. But, they also need an O-line, because Joe Burrow spent more time on his back last season than certain film actresses.
Whoa, F-bomb now that. The F-bomb, then the porn bomb. I didn't say
what kind of actresses. I just said actresses. Like, he just spent a lot of time on his back looking up at the sky. Maybe having a come to Jesus moment. I don't know. Maybe he's, trying to perfect his lines for Home Alone 12. Who knows? But they definitely need.
That Macaulay Culkin meme was amazing, by the way.
It was hilarious, and the fact that Macaulay Culkin actually jumped in.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin actually has Joe Burrow for Halloween. And he is he looks like Joe Burrow in 10 years. Like, it is crazy. By the way, the
resemblance is a little uncanny.
Adult Macaulay Culkin the last couple of years has been fire. And that
Yes,
dude's been great.
I love the fact that he's getting his redemption arc. I love the fact that he's got a partner that is looking out for his best interests and is crazy stupid in love with him. And likewise, and then they've got adorable little kids. Like, I love all of this for him.
Yep.
But no, so Joe Burrow needs help, like a lot of help. And it's got to come from your O-line. Their defense was like, we talk about how bad we were on offense last year. Cincy was like right behind us with their defense. Like, it was not pretty. So they addressed some of their needs. They didn't address all of them, but let's throw another running back in the mix just for grins and giggles. So,
well, and the crazy thing about Cincinnati is they had, I don't know if people realize that Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks last year. Like, they had the most productive defensive end sack-wise last year, and they're dicking around with that contract because
right.
If you've ever, so I don't know if you guys went. So if we look here, let's look at the map here. So we talk about from Cleveland to Columbus, but if you go all the way down here to Cincinnati, okay, right here on the river is their stadium. Right beside it is their practice facility, which is literally a tent. It is a tent on the river. So if you've been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and behind it they have a sports facility that's like this big giant blow up tent, which for Canton, Ohio, it's cool. It's the same thing in Cincinnati. They are so cheap. They are so absolutely insanely cheap. You have Trey Hendrickson. Just give the guy a contract. And they might not be able to because they gave T. Higgins that money. They paid Jamar. Right. They gave T. Higgins wide receiver 2 money, which is big. And last year, once again, they could score, but they can't stop anybody, and they didn't get any better.
No,
it's going to be another rough year for Cincinnati. I really think so.
I think it is. I think it really is. And truthfully, like on this pod, we love that for them. So
we do so much.
So much. Love that.
Yeah. So anything else, Bebe?
No, I have gone through my notes. I have broken the podcast rules. I think it's been a pretty eventful Sunday, actually.
We will have some stuff to talk about because Browns rookies are reporting to camp. We will be 3 games into the Eastern Conference semifinals when we talk next week. So we'll definitely have some show topics. We'll know the fate of the Cleveland Monsters as well. And hopefully the Guardians stay hot because we're talking crap about them. I did
get a funny comment from a relative of mine who has seen the pod. So hi, Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
He asked, what is in my cup that you guys see me drinking from constantly? And he's like, is it, you can tell me, is it something that, makes you a little bit more spicy? And the truth of the matter is it's boring. I'm drinking water when I'm not drinking the liquid death. It's actually water in here. I'm just that naturally spicy. Like it comes out, no performance enhancing substances needed or required. So it is just water, I promise, in my sippy cup of doom.
Today I'm going with the Lonnie New Pig Slush. So Lonnie New, if you're watching this, we love a sponsorship. Like and subscribe to Lonnie New. Yeah. So the one thing that I had to bargain with the guy who wrote me into this carnivore diet was I need to have caffeine. I can't, like, I'm addicted. Like I can't function in the morning without caffeine, and I don't drink coffee. And so I had to bargain one of these a day. Hey, no sugar. This one has 5 calories, no carbs, so I have to.
Okay.
I make sure it's 0 sugar, 0 carbs. So that's usually what I'm drinking. Now you guys know. The more you know.
Ta-da! The more you know.
You 80s and 90s kids get that reference.
Ooh.
Okay.
I have to find a rainbow graphic. So on that note, from the dog pound of the shoe and all of the shenanigans and swear words in between, I'm Bebe.
I'm BC.
This has been the I-71 Playbook Podcast.